Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome back to another weekly analysis. This one is going to be week 3 of November, right? So first things first, where is price at? Where is price actually at now? You can see that we are currently in a bearish distribution. Well, if you start from February, it's in a bearish distribution. However, we are currently ranging in this little consolidation here. Right, I expect price to break out, potentially grabbing these highs over here, and then continue that bearish distribution later on down the line. So let's take it all the way back to the weekly. Where's price at? Where's price coming from? And where's price most likely going to go? Right. Sorry for the dogs barking if you can hear that. But anyway, price right now has stripped these equal highs. Yeah, so you would expect it to be bearish, and it has been bearish a little bit. However, they're not bodied candle closes. It's nothing that signifies to me that we have begun the bearish distribution, right? As you can see here, not too strong of bearish candles. If anything, don't watch the markings. Try keep your eyes close to this. If I run a OTE from this swing low all the way to that swing high, we can see that these two candles have just about wicked the zero point 0.5 level. We haven't even got to the 0.61 level, which is right here. And we have definitely not gone deeper into OTE levels. I actually want to see price touch this order block on the 98 on DXY and then give us a continuation of this bullishness that we have begun before we actually all the way to this drawn liquidity before we actually see true bearish distribution. All right. So let's quickly take it back to the news events, fundamentals, right? This week it was announced that the government shutdown has ended. So what news events are there? Can we see? See, tomorrow there's no major news events. Wednesday we got FOMC. Thursday we got NFP. You've got NFP on a Thursday. Unemployment claims as per usual. And Friday we're lackluster with red folders. Right, we got PMI. And is that the only one? Yeah, but there's still we're lackluster with Euro and GBP red folders too. So on a week like this, it usually shows me where there's a lack of red folder on a Tuesday, I can expect Wednesday's FOMC to create one part of the range, so the high of the week or the low of the week, and then I can expect the end of the week to create the other end of the range. Where exactly are we looking at for the range? I'm not sure if you'll remember, but I said in my first weekly analysis, my first weekly analysis back anyway, that you need to allow me because I'm not used to this MacBook stuff. But so yeah, I was talking about what sort of this is the range that we're working in right now. This is your internal range. This will be your internal range, but from this low will be your external range, right? So there's nothing that solidifies to me that is gonna break out and go below, is gonna actually go below the range and it's a bearish distribution because that'll look like a market structure shift on the daily time frame, which as you can see, we have not had. A market structure shift will consist of this low being broken and we have a bodied candle close below this low here. All right. So let's take it to the actual fundamentals and let's see if there's anything that's been interesting this week. As you all know, I only do my weekly analysis on a Monday because I don't trade on a Monday. I let price action determine what sort of weekly profile it's going to give me. And right now, my bullish weekly profile still stands, right? So is there any interesting DXY news events oil studies as geopolitical risk on Russia? We're going to talk about oil as well because the only two markets that I have my eyes on right now is USD CAD and crude oil. I'm not really looking to take any Euro USD trades unless or GBP USD unless DXY gives me clear direction, especially with the lackluster of news events. It's probably going to like let off all the lagging of news events. Gold. There's a lot of news about the treasurers, the treasury, so the US 10-year bonds and the US 30-year bonds. So if we take a look at that, what you can see here, if we kind of OTE off this range on the US 10-year bond, I already have it drawn out. You can see that we are in deep OTE levels. Are we going to break this low and show bearish prices? Probably not. Because if you take it a bit one step ahead, US 30-year bonds, you can see that we're still clearly in a bullish trend. Right? There's nothing that's solidified candle closes to show any form of market structure shift. A market structure shift will be seen if we have candle closes somewhere around here. If there was candle closes here below these equal lows, then that could be some form of market make or sell model going down to attack these lows. But as you can see, we are still clearly in a upwards trends, just a bit consolidating at the moment. But I do believe that this week of news events um is going to actually clear that all up for us now that the US government has shut down. If I take it to the COT, commitment of traders, I usually only just use the COT on like a higher scale level just to see like what's going on, what financial institutions are trying to do with price. But as we can see, yeah, like, of course, we're still in a bearish trend on a quarterly level. All right. Yeah, we had a last strong bullish quarter. However, there's nothing that signifies to me that we are bullish on Euro USD. Let's take it back one step to monthly. So if we consider this internal range, it's probably just a sell-off from the premium level. As you can see, like this is all a bearish price action. But this will be our external range. So considering just this internal range, we can see that we've actually hit the premium and we've actually wicked away and actually started having bearish pricing. So if we take it one notch ahead, weekly candle is not giving too much. The weekly chart, sorry. So what I do expect is a previous weekly high sweep for us to continue lower. If you check the daily, you can see that we're still in a bearish trend. If you look at from here, we are still in this bearish trend. And these last few days of bullishness is just potentially price retracing and repricing to give us lower prices. So if we take it back to the US, the DXY, the trading view, done. What do I actually expect price to do? So I'm anticipating a bullish weekly profile, right? So if I'm anticipating a bullish weekly profile, what does that mean? I want to see the beginning of the week, including FOMC, to create the low of the weeks, and then for price to finish off by making the high of the weeks. You get me? So like, so this candle. So if I take it to the weekly candle, so open, low, high, close. That's what I'm expecting, right? Obviously, what that looks like drawn out. I'm not gonna draw it out because it's in the minute I start drawing, all my other markings will start coming up. But I want to see this equal daily lows get swept before we see price continue to give a push higher on DXY. And that's what a true bullish weekly profile will look like. So if I take it to actual EURUSD, how that's gonna look is, of course, right now, Monday, Tuesday, there was no news events. even today. Just some Canadian dollar in these events. So I can expect price to grab little internal range before it actually shows us the true expansion of the weekly profile. That little internal range being potentially grab this previous daily low and then shoot up to grab this previous weekly high, this double equal high, same as on as correlated on DXY, and then for price to give us that move lower. So cut off hands until all of this plays out. You can paper trade it, demo trade it to see it play out. One market that I do have my eyes on at the moment is USD CAD. Reason being, if I put this internal range in an OTE, I can see that we've just about touched the zero point 0.6 level. If price gives me a entry here in this fair value gap into the deeper level of the OTE, then I am willing to take that and I will let you know if I do. So there's something like this potentially stops here, targeting this strong liquidity up here. Little 2.3 RR, nothing major. So that's one market that I'm interested in for this week. And another market that I'm interested in for this week is oil. The reason why I'm interested in oil is because there's a lot of macro to back up what's happening with oil, right? If you was following for time, then you know that we started selling oil from this level right here. Just take it to the weekly, or 4 hour will be even better. Okay, let's take it to the weekly. Somewhere around here. We caught this wick and we went lower. We've had retracement. Where is it? Yep, this wick. Caught it lower. Or was it this candle? I think it was this candle. End of October, not the beginning. Let me go on the 4 hours so I can see more clearly. Oh, it was right here. Yep, it was the end of October. So as we can see, we've had lower pricing, retraced, even lower pricing, retraced to the premium, and back to lower pricing, retraced back to more lower pricing. I doubt this is a retracement. I do believe it's going to continue lower. The reason why I believe oil is going to get to level 50 is because Trump himself said that he's reaching for oil levels to touch 50. Right now, the world is in a recession, right? And what this means is that um, in this moment of recession, all major currencies are actually cutting interest rates. They're cutting rates. So what that's going to do is that's going to create less demand for goods and services. All right. Oil follows the economy, and if there's less demand for goods and services, oil is like the most used material for the production of for production processes. So if there's less demand for it, then it just genuinely means oil is gonna fall. The demand for oil is gonna fall. As we saw here in the Yahoo Finance, oil steadies as geopolitical risk counter rush report restart. So y- that's just more confidence for me that oil's still gonna fall. Yeah, oil steadies, but all they mean by that is since this fall in November is rebalanced. Yeah, we haven't had no candle closes above this fair value gap, nothing strong to signify or indicate that there will be higher prices. So I am currently watching oil and USD CAD, and those are the two pairs that I plan to trade for this week. However, if you know how I trade, then you know I tend to leave week three alone, and I like to catch majority of my trades on the second week of the month and the next week, which is the last week of the month. So that's going to be it for this week's weekly analysis. Inshallah, you got some form of benefit from it. Remember these three questions. Where is price now? Where's price going? And where's price coming from? Coming from previous monthly high sweep, going to a previous weekly low sweep to continue that run higher. And where is price now? Where's price going to? And where's price coming from? And where's price now? Right now, we're just consolidating within this range. Like, yeah, we just had a previous daily high sweep. Let's see. The high of this candle, 99.598. The high of this candle, 99.5. Yep, you just had a previous daily high sweep. So I can expect that as a little liquidity boost to go and grab these daily equal lows to continue our move higher. So that's what I'm looking for in the longer term. Do leave a um do leave a like, comment, subscribe if you have any questions. If you have any questions, leave in a comment and I'll answer it. And Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.